What's up, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Between the Cons. My name is Chris, and with me today, the Ginger Giant. I really hope everybody got to watch the video I posted Sunday night of what that looks like.
Last time I checked, it was at like 115 or 20 views.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. But also joining us today, we have Pat Haskew.
Hello.
Hey, Pat.
Hey, Pat.
Pat works in visual effects for the Third Floor, which is a visual effects studio. Third Floor Visualization, according to the homepage of their website.
Pre-visualization is the proper word.
Okay. Good to know.
I'm sorry, Dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You even have that, like, grounded tone right now. Just, yeah.
That's slightly disappointed in you tone?
Yeah, but it's like, if you don't start walking away, like, you're going to catch the knuckles. I don't think you would actually slap me with your knuckles.
That's pretty nice guy.
I have big hands, so...
Yeah, we've only talked for about 15 minutes so far, but you seem like not the kind of person that would hit somebody.
No, my nickname is the Gentle Giant, so...
Oh, so we have the Ginger Giant and the Gentle Giant.
Ooh.
Yep, it's a treat. Mm-hmm.
It's a treat. Awesome. Well, really quick, before we get any further into the show, thanks to everybody for hitting us up on the internet this week. If you don't know, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. We have a Snapchat. I don't know if we've ever actually posted anything, but you're more than welcome to blindly follow it.
I think Dane's in charge of that, and that's scary.
I don't even know how to use Snapchat.
I don't either.
Honestly.
29, and I know that it like 4 times.
I know that it has filters. I have yet to figure out how to open them.
Don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
I think you swipe or something, but nope.
Too much work. What is this, Tinder? Anyways, and then everybody that's left a review on the iTunes store, if you haven't done that, or the Google Play Store, if you haven't done that, do that. It goes a long way for us in this here podcast world, and we like reading them, and we'll read it on the air as long as it's clean. We'll read it on the air and give you a shout out, so even better. But that's all the shout outs to kick off the show. So since we have Pat here, I guess we should probably talk to him and get to know a little more about him in Meet the Geek.
Allow me to break the ice.
Hey everyone.
I'm shaking your hand too long. Wow, this is awesome.
I'm still just hung up on the fact that I said get to little.
Get to little. Just edit that in post.
Oh my gosh. So good. So good. Anyways, well, Pat Haskew, Visual Effects, Third Floor, talked about it already. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Like you said, my name is Pat Haskew.
Great.
I live in the beautiful Los Angeles, California. I've been here for about 8 years. And I've been lucky enough to work at the same company since I got out of college.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
Not many people do that.
Not in that area.
Not so much.
I
tell people that I wish I was born in a different century where you had the same job for 50 years. I feel like I was meant for that. So I'm on that track. I've got almost 10 years, so we'll see if I can get 40 more. But
fingers crossed for you, Pat.
Yeah, we'll see. But originally I'm from Texas, Houston, Texas, and spent all my life growing up there. Then I went to Florida for college, went to this awesome computer animation school called Ringling College of Art and Design, kind of made for making movies like Pixar and things like that. A lot of my coworkers.
Awesome.
It also sounds like a circus.
Yeah, it's where the John Ringling Circus actually exists. It's in that city.
Since you nailed it.
Sarasota is known for its ghettos and old people. It's pretty much
like half of Florida.
Yep. So I was lucky enough to go there, and then came straight to LA and went straight to the Third Floor. So I was really lucky. And
That's awesome.
Yeah. So right now I'm been there for 8 years, and it's been incredible. I've had the most it's the dream job in movies. I get to work with all these amazing directors and actors one-on-one, and I'm not just like this. It's artist in a corner, just kind of doing his own thing, and no one knows his name. I actually get to have like influence with the directors and producers themselves, so it's really awesome.
That's really cool.
So these days I've graduated from an artist. Now I'm a supervisor and also a department head. And so I'm just climbing that ladder. So, yeah.
Climbing that ladder.
Yeah.
We're super excited to have you on the show.
Thank you.
It's just cool that I sort of happened upon our friendship. Like, Pat and I know each other from Texas. I am a friend with his wife, and they started dating. You know, I was friends with his wife Jen, and we've gotten to travel to Turkey together and do some kind of weird off the wall
for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
This is a solid day of eating together with Pat.
We got to travel through the turkey together on a digestive journey.
A 3-hour tour. Exactly. No, the country. The country.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
And he's just super cool guy, and great that I'm just really thankful to have him as a friend, and it's cool to have him on the show. So,
yeah, man.
I'm excited. I don't know Pat outside of the 15 minutes before this podcast started that we talked. But I actually put a section in our notes today called bragging in case you don't. And I don't know if he's not going to, but I'm just going to jump the gun and do it for him anyways. So
little pedigree before we get started here.
When Kyle told me that he had this buddy that like worked on Spider-Man Homecoming, I was like, cool, that's great. He's like a grip. He's like a grip or like some other.
He went and got food for the cast once.
Yeah, he's like a gopher for some like PA. He's a PA's PA. Like
right.
he is the gum on someone's shoe in the movie industry. And I was just like, okay, cool. So I looked him up, and it's actually really impressive. So Pat, you have been. You're here. I don't have to talk like you're not here. You've been a visual artist, effects artist. You are also apparently getting arrested.
Yeah, you could hear that. Yeah.
Nope, you're good though. You're good.
Yep.
Okay, great.
I'm good. They passed by. They didn't
House
see
next
me.
door. Got it. So you're a visual artist and visual Previs / Postvis, depending on the project. Supervisor for Hunger Games, The Avengers, Iron Man 3, Thor: The Dark World, 47 Ronin, which was an excellent Keanu Reeves movie with incredible.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, I loved it, and it had incredible visual effects.
I've never actually seen the full movie.
Only this one scene with this giant snake. I just don't even understand the context.
Yeah. Anyway, continue bragging for me, please. I like this.
Yes. Thank you. Also, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Out of the Shadows, Independence Day: Resurgence, and most recently, Beauty and the Beast and Spider-Man: Homecoming. Which,
Not a bad lineup.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice resume.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And you're on IMDb, so I feel like that's got to at least be like a little shining gold star in the corners of your heart.
It's good for the parents and grandparents for sure.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Yep.
So it kind of brings me to my first question. You said you were a supervisor and a department head and all this. What is post-viz versus pre-viz?
All right,
because I don't know anything about visual effects other than I like it when they look nice.
Yeah, and hate it when it's done poorly.
Hate it when it doesn't look nice. Yeah.
So basically, what I do, you will never see on the final film. So that's great. But what we do is lays the foundation for what you do see. We kind of take all the credit for everyone who makes the final touches. So we take all the creative fun out of everyone else's job. So it's kind of fun. But basically, I'll just kind of go in order of how things are made. So previs first is what happens. Previs is kind of we work with the directors and producers and art department and kind of do a basic 3D animation first pass of what the movie will look like eventually when they go shoot it. So it basically means taking storyboards or just basic ideas or scripts, and then we from there basically build 3D characters, environments, props, everything you're going to see in the movie. For like Avengers, we make Captain America, Thor, all the characters in 3D in a like low detail version, basically, that is easy to manipulate and is fast in 3D. All the environments. If they're going to build sets, we build all the sets to scale so that when they go to shoot the film, it matches. So it's not only for story, but also a technical aspect. Previs helps them inform them how they're going to shoot the film. So if they're going to be shooting a sequence that's really complicated, they need to figure out how to shoot it, big action scene. So we previs the whole action scene so that they know exactly where the characters should go. They know exactly where Hulkbuster or Hulk needs to be. Hulkbuster is 20 feet tall, so they need to know exactly where the actors should look. They need to see how they need to frame the camera so that Hulkbuster can be in frame. So we animate Hulkbuster in the environment so they can see how it's going to look. We light it so that it looks roughly what it will look like when they film it or do the final visual effects for it. So we do like a whole, it's like a whole like rough draft of the final thing. So that's previs. So we work closely with the director, producers, editorial.
Is he sitting? Is he or she sitting like in the room with you, just throwing stuff up against the wall, or are you getting like written instructions, or how does that relationship work? At least in the previs,
with
the director, yeah.
Yeah. It varies depending on the director. Sometimes they are in the room with you, like sitting with you at your computer. Sometimes we're in the pitch meetings themselves and they're like throwing out ideas and we like throw out our ideas, and sometimes they take our ideas, which is pretty sick. And then sometimes, sometimes that's when we're like on site. So often movies these days are filmed outside of LA. So Atlanta is a huge filming hub right now because of tax incentives. I went to Albuquerque for the first Avengers, so that's where I was for 7 months. That's when like Breaking Bad was.
Do you want to be a little bit more salty about it?
So that's where I was for 7 months.
That's where I was in Albuquerque, friggin' New Mexico.
Hey, it wasn't bad actually. It was nice for me actually. It was a nice break from LA.
Good. Actually, I bet that was.
And when you go off site, they comp all of your housing expenses and everything, so it's nice. So I was in a Holiday Inn Express for 7 months. Fresh sheets and towels every day. It wasn't too bad. And then that's offsite. So that's when you're like with the director on set. That's when you're meeting with them one-on-one. Then if you're not doing that, then you're back at our home base and you're just dealing with them on the phone. We have this program called Cinesync that you're able to like look at video and like draw on stuff. Cool. Over the phone together. So it's over the phone, email. So it really varies depending on the client. Some directors are super outgoing. Let's see. Who's an outgoing director I've worked with? Just depending on the director. It really depends. But, yeah.
So when you're on site, no, you're good. When you're on site with a director, are you? I don't know the word, designing, visual affecting, like on the go. So like if you're are you ever on set?
Every once in a while. It's not often, but every once in a while. Most of our work is before they go. The ideal scenario is we do our previs before they shoot it, then they use our previs to inform them shooting it, so we shouldn't have to be there when they shoot it. Okay. But movies like Marvel, they can afford to keep us around more often. So we're usually around, and so sometimes we have to be on set. For on set, it's more of what's called tech viz, where everything is a viz. So we have to make fun, fancy clever names for everything. But TechViz is basically we take the Previs and we make lots of fancy diagrams and like schematics and lots of measurements of things so that they have like this diagram to look at. Say, okay, Hulkbuster is 20 feet away from Scarlett Johansson right now. So, all right, move that big tennis ball 20 feet away from Scarlett so Scarlett can look up and see Hulkbuster where he should be. All right, so, hey, Patrick, does this match the TechViz? Yes, okay. Then, all right, shoot. So stuff like that is the common occurrence for TechViz. So that's what on set is usually entails.
Interesting.
So just a quick interjection. Chris and I are both sitting at the desk with our head in our hands and our mouths slightly open,
just gaping.
As you just flippantly, so the director will be doing his thing and then over the shoulder, just toss your name over his shoulder casually and say, oh, hey, Patrick, are we doing this right? And you get to direct him whether he is correct or incorrect.
Joss Whedon will direct Scarlett Johansson's eyesight to your body. And that's what I'm stuck on right now. It's just,
Sometimes it's just
your
like,
general vicinity.
Yeah, or sometimes it's like, hey, this isn't lining up, and then they scream at you, and then it's very, very frightening.
I'm sure there is a negative aspect to that.
But even still, you're the guy that got yelled at that one day on set.
Yeah. But that is, I will say, that's a rare occurrence. Usually, we're just in our office, and then if there's an issue on set, they'll send a PA to say us and hey, something didn't match, and a producer will call us and scream at us or something like that.
Sure.
But, so yeah, usually we're just in our office somewhere.
That's still really cool else.
Though. Yeah.
So
it's fun.
You go. I've been talking.
Oh well, I just yeah. I had just one more question on that. Do you have an example of a suggestion that you had that wasn't spawned from the director about a scene that made it to the movie?
Let me think. Well, yeah. So, Spider-Man: Homecoming, for instance.
Oh my gosh, perfect.
My favorite scene that we worked on is the opening montage, which is the beginning of the movie where Peter's holding his. Can I say spoilers, by the way? Is that cool?
Yeah.
So spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. Spoiler alert.
And we just aired an episode, a type of episode called a round table, where as many of the co-hosts can come into the episode and just rate the movie, basically.
Just review.
So most of our listeners probably have listened to that already. So you're good.
Cool. So opening montage is like my favorite scene that we worked on. Honestly, it was a lot of fun. We did more post-viz for that scene.
The cell phone footage, is that what you're talking about?
The
Peter Parker cell phone video?
Yep. We call it like the GoPro stuff.
The GoPro video. Yeah, okay.
Anyway. But all the stuff like when he opens up Mr. Stark leaves in that case and he opens it up and then the suit pops out.
Yeah.
That stuff, all the graphics that pop up, I basically designed how that case opened up and the suit popped out.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome!
What?
What was actually there, the practical thing was the suit already popped out, like with the little shells already nicely popped out and everything. So I basically reversed engineered how it would close back so it would pop open. So I had to basically design how that would work.
That's super cool.
That was fun. So we designed that, and then all the graphics that pop up over that,
like the little hologram.
Yeah, all the hologram stuff.
Oh man, awesome.
Marvel's nuts about the hologram stuff since Iron Man came out. So we had tons of that stuff all over the place, and then all of the like HUD stuff for Spidey throughout the movie, where they tried to integrate like the Iron Man HUD feel for his suit since Stark made it. So a lot of the HUD elements that you see, like when it's like Peter's POV. Or like when he looks at his hands and you see the hologram elements pop up on his hands, like so he can pick electric web or instant kill.
Instant kill.
No! Don't stop going to that option. Yeah.
Yeah. So I designed a lot of those HUD things. It was like a basic version, but basically they used that and that kind of carried through their end. And all of that stuff, the HUD elements, all that stuff, the director had no idea what he wanted, so he just let us design all of that. So it was super cool.
The director, of course, being John Watts.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a cool guy. He's managed to make like a Ferris Bueller of our generation with this movie. It's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
So
So that's like your favorite, or that's your favorite scene from Spider-Man: Homecoming. Do you have a favorite scene, like, just ever, or favorite movie ever that you've worked on?
I think probably. I think Spider-Man: Homecoming is probably my favorite, but outside of that, I'd say probably the first Avengers. It was my first Marvel film, and it was just such a freaking cool experience being able to go to Albuquerque and be on set, walk past Robert Downey Jr. and him like just nod at you and just
You melt inside.
yeah, going on set and being able to walk on the helicarrier set is not too shabby. So stuff like that is pretty fun. So
when people ask me like what my favorite Marvel movie is, that still comes up as my favorite Marvel movie.
The first Avengers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so entertaining.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon is a master. He's so freaking good. So it was awesome to work on that. Yeah. And then I got to be on set one day when do you remember in the first Avengers when a Hulk jumps through the glass onto the F-22 Raptor?
Yeah.
Remember that scene? So I got to be there when they shot the ballistics at the glass to break it for when Hulk jumps through it. So stuff like that is pretty friggin' sweet.
Oh
so
my gosh.
it's fun.
That's so cool.
And then yeah. So I think that was probably my favorite experience for sure.
So that was your first Marvel movie you worked on.
Yep.
Were you a fan of Marvel before then, or did you just happen upon that project because the Third Floor got contracted for that, or how did you get into doing a lot of Marvel movies?
It's a lot of geeks or nerds, however you want to phrase the title, will be pissed that I didn't really have a huge knowledge or love of Marvel before working on the Avengers. I loved like the cartoons and stuff growing up. X-Men was more of my favorite, my genre.
Yes, sir.
One day Disney will own them and we can put them in Marvel movies. But before that, not really. And then, Third Floor just their first Marvel film was Iron Man 2. And that since then we just have been on the Marvel train. So since then, so it was just Third Floor got the gig, and I just was lucky enough to be one of the ones asked to go to Albuquerque and work on it. So I actually ended on 47 Ronin like on in December, and then January they said, "Hey, you want to work on Avengers?" I'm like, "Okay." So
that's awesome.
I mean, I guess.
So what did you do, just for my own personal curiosity? What did you guys, like you said you haven't even seen the whole movie. What did you specifically work on for 47 Ronin? Feel free to throw spoilers out, because if you haven't seen it, then people aren't going to see it.
Yeah. It was so long ago. I'm trying to remember. The main scenes we worked on were in the forest. There's like this big beast that kind of runs through the forest, and then Keanu Reeves kind of tames it, basically. Yep. So that scene we worked on heavily. There's a huge battle in this epic like snow fortress, and there's like a huge avalanche that might still happen in the movie. I'm not sure if it made it into the movie.
It did.
All right, I made that avalanche.
I made that avalanche.
I love effects and like avalanches, like HUD stuff, like effects is like my favorite thing to do, by the way. So those are like my favorite things in the past. Why? They're like just the coolest things to develop, and I think they're the things we have the most influence over for films, because they have the least development, the least to go on. Most people don't really know what they want, so we kind of help them develop the look for it.
Oh, so you get to step in the driver's seat a little bit?
Yeah. Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's less involved than saying we need Hulk to move his right arm as Scarlet Witch comes into this frame, and then Hulk moves right and she reacts to his movement this way. They say more of like, we need an avalanche, or we need a big scary monster with 8 legs to come out of this corner, and then you get to go and kind of riff.
You play it a little bit.
But I will say my favorite time from 47 Ronin is walking into the kitchen and seeing a dude just like he opened the refrigerator. He's like inside the refrigerator. I'm like, okay, here's a random guy. I turn back around. Oh, it's Keanu Reeves. Oh, he's just chilling in the cafe with me. So that was cool. By the way, Keanu Reeves is like the coolest guy ever. He's so chill.
I believe every bit of that.
100%.
He's so awesome. Yeah,
that's so cool. I will say you should watch 47 Ronin. It is actually really good.
And you should try really hard to get into John Wick 3.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves has like really turned around the last like 5-10 years of his career.
I'm a very big fan of John Wick. I freaking love those movies. So, yes.
So John Wick Chapter 3, The Third Floor.
Yeah, I hope so. Well,
that's the name of it. That should be the name of it. I think the third floor.
Oh.
John Wick, The Third Floor.
Yeah.
Did you want me to describe what Postvis was?
We talked a lot about Previs. Yeah, what does Postvis do?
So Postvis is more what I do these days. I'm currently a Postvis supervisor on a movie that I can't talk about. So Postvis is Previs informs what they film. So we previs something before we film it. Postvis is more about informing what the final look of something will be. So trying to figure out what the final effects will look like, figuring out where the explosions are going to go. We kind of take what they film and try to just manipulate it to make it look something like what the final will look like. So for instance, Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man 3 walks around his mansion and he's supposed to have his suit on, his Iron Man suit. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't actually have it on when they film it. He just has like this marker suit that kind of tracks his movement, so it's easy to 3D track his 3D elements after the fact. And then so we kind of go back and do a rough version of that. So we put a 3D Iron Man suit on his body. So that involves taking the plate of the footage and 3D tracking the footage so that we can bring the 3D elements into the world of where it was shot. And so we 3D track the plates, and then we basically what's called rotomate the Iron Man suit on top of our Robert Downey Jr. so it looks like he's actually wearing it. And we light it so that try to light it so that it looks like it was there on set that day. And then we kind of do that, and then so that kind of informs what like ILM will take and make as the final product that you see. So stuff like that, or one of the more fun examples is like on Age of Ultron, Chris Hemsworth would often wear a half cape when acting. So it looked like a kid costume from Party City.
Yeah.
So it's basically so that the talent can't hurt himself, so he can't trip over his cape.
No capes.
Yeah, so we basically have to go in and fill in the actual cape in the plate. So we have to go in and track and actually add in a 3D cape. Or say he throws Mjolnir like at an enemy, Chris Hemsworth will mimic throwing something, but he actually won't throw something. So we have to add in like a 3D Mjolnir and like track and comp that Mjolnir into his hand and throw it, animate it, and add in like a Subaltron that it's hitting in frame. So, and it's also about framing up everything. So we make sure all the 3D elements work in frame and they cut together editorially. So we cut everything together. So it's just a first pass of the final product, basically, after the story has been figured out, is what Postvis is. So, and it's really fun because we have a lot more interaction with seeing the final footage, which is really fun. We did in Age of Ultron. There's this really heartfelt scene where he and Scarlett Johansson are like touching hands as she's trying to calm him down at the beginning of the movie. So Mark Ruffalo is there like on a platform, kneeling down with these huge mittens, and Scarlett Johansson is like gently just touching these mittens, like she's trying to calm him down. It's really amazing. So
really shows you how hard people have to act sometimes.
Yeah, so that's generally what Postvis is, and I really enjoy it more than Previs. Actually, it's a lot more problem solving and figuring out how it should work. So it's a lot of fun.
So are there ever times where like you guys will get footage and it just doesn't work?
Oh yeah.
And like it has to go back for like reshoots or something like that?
Yep, often. Yeah, often. Reshoots. reshoots are a guarantee, pretty much. So they'll either like an actor won't be available that day because he's doing something else, so they'll have to like shoot a stand-in, then they have to go and reshoot. For instance, in Age of Ultron, Scarlett Johansson was pregnant during lots of filming, so they had to go back and they had to have a stand-in for a while, and then they had to go back and do like 3 weeks of reshooting, just shooting Scarlett Johansson on a green screen, and then it was basically, hey, act like Iron Man is next to you, and do stuff like that. So we actually that was an example where we had to do a ton of tech viz in order to basically mimic all of the cameras that were shot originally on set, so that they could frame up exactly how the stand-in was framed, so that they could shoot her exactly how she should be framed.
Good grief.
So stuff like that.
That's intense.
So we do a lot of that, and then lots of plates are just completely useless, and we have to just add a lot more 3D elements to make it look good. Basically, like all like the Black Panther shots you see in like Civil War, or all of the Spider-Man Homecoming shots of Spider-Man, they originally shot like Panther and Spider-Man on set, but every single one of those shots is completely redone with a 3D version of that for the final, because the suit they wear on set has wrinkles in it. It isn't really heroic looking. The muscles aren't like, toned and like heroic looking. So everything has some kind of like 3D polish to it. So yeah.
You mentioned just a couple minutes ago that you're working post-viz on a project you can't talk about. And we won't press you to reveal anything you can't reveal.
So please don't, so I don't lose my job.
Sure. Is there anything though that is upcoming or stuff that you've worked on that's being marketed now, or something you're excited to see that you've worked on that's coming out as an upcoming project?
Let's see, something I can talk. Well, there's only one thing I can really talk about, which isn't that exciting, but it's kind of exciting. So we often do a lot of work with China, and we do movies and theme park rides for China that most people in America don't really ever see. But China is an incredible market where all of the money is coming from right now for Hollywood. So we try to do as much business with China as we can.
Sure.
So I did this awesome. It was a crazy couple. It was 2 movies, first and a sequel, called Legend of Ravaging Dynasties. And I'm not sure if that was in my IMDb, but
oh my god, it wasn't. But that sounds amazing.
It's basically directed by this guy named Wu Jingming. He's like one of the biggest pop star / directors in China right now. He's huge, and so he decided to direct this huge epic sci-fi fantasy film that's based off of a book that he actually wrote. So he actually wrote books, and he's making movies about them. So he's,
actually, that was in your IMDb.
So it's basically final. Yep, Lord. So it's basically Final Fantasy on steroids. So I won't say too much about it, but basically it's just it's Final Fantasy on steroids with Chinese actors. So all these guys have crazy superpowers. There's like slow motion and reverse slow motion, and people can create just ridiculous things. Anyway, it's just a crazy movie that's just a spectacle. But we worked on the sequel that I don't think has been released yet. So I think they're still working on it over in China. So that will be interesting when it comes out. But the first one is out. It was in limited release. It might be on video these days. But that was a cool experience because we worked directly with guys in China. So we would Skype with China every day in Beijing. And we had coworkers that went to China and like lived in the director's mansion, and storyboard artists. We sent storyboard artists over there and worked with the director. So they storyboarded the whole film, then they came back and we previs the whole thing. That was the last movie that I can talk about that I worked on before Homecoming. Okay. And then from Homecoming I went straight to my current movie. So
cool. I guess that sparks just another question. It may be a weird question to answer, but how much work does it take to be on one of these movies? Are you working on Age of Ultron for 2 months when they need you, or is it like 15 months of production and you're just doing 3 or 4 hours of work on it every day, or what is that? What does your workflow kind of look like?
So for Marvel movies are a whole other animal. Most movies, other movies like Battleship that I worked on, or Forza and Ronin, those are like 3 to 6 months long.
Okay.
And that's just previs. That's like 3 to 6 months before they shoot anything.
And that's your only project, basically, at that, or the third floor's only project, yeah.
Oh, not third floor. We're working on 30 projects at once. I think.
Okay.
So yeah, we're working on many, many projects. We have like over 200 artists here,
okay,
and in London, simultaneously working in lots of things. So
nice.
that's just me. So that's me and a team of like 10 to 12 usually is the average, I'd say, for a Previs team. The clients don't want to go too big because they want to. We have an edge with clients because we're cheap. So our teams usually aren't huge. They're like 10 or 12 artists, and they're usually pretty generalists, so they can do a lot of things. And so, yeah, 10 to 12 artists for 3 to 6 months. A Marvel project is usually on average a year and a half.
Oh, good grief.
So we usually start when they start pre-production, and we usually end about a month before it releases. So we're with it the whole way. So
by the skin of your teeth, that one.
Yep. We're sending shots off to be final to ILM like a month before it hits theater sometimes. So
good grief! What?
It's nuts. So they can afford to keep us around, and then we just developed an incredible relationship with Marvel. So we have a really slick pipeline, and we've just really worked well with them, and so they know what to expect. So they know that if they keep us around, that they'll find value in us. So we're able to stay with them for a whole production. So
for Iron Man 2 was what 7 years ago, 2010, right?
Avengers was in 2010. I think
Avengers was 2010.
The first Iron Man was 2008, and
right.
So. Yeah, it must have been like 2010. Yeah, but I can't remember. Yeah, Avengers came out in 2011, I think, actually. Yeah, 2011. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, you guys. The point is, you guys have had a long time to like nail down a good pipeline.
Yeah. So, for instance, like Iron Man 3 and Age of Ultron, I was with those both projects for a year and a half each.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Good Age of Ultron, it was a really fun project.
So let's talk kind of away from things, just a little bit about Pat.
All right.
So you said you're not like before the Marvel movies, you weren't super geeky, super nerdy. Like you weren't really into the Marvel things. Or I'm assuming that also means like DC or any of the comics, really, just more like the mainstream of the 90s
X-Men,
X-Men cartoon. So what exactly like would you say is your geekiest hobby?
All right, like to this day, like today, like what's
like to this day? Yeah.
All right.
Besides working on Marvel movies.
Actually, so I have 3 kids, and they're just about the age where they're getting into Legos. So
nice.
Legos
Awesome.
Legos was my jam. I'll just say that was my jam growing up. Yeah, I threw that word. No.
Love it. Awesome.
So my kids are now at the age where they're getting into that. So I am diving fully into that myself. So. My ideal Friday night these days is to buy a Lego set, preferably a Lego Batman. Right now is my
love it.
Awkward
to do. Yeah. True story. I have several Batman action figures and Lego sets at my desk at work, even though I have never worked.
You spent 90% of your time working on Marvel movies.
Yep.
I guess you can talk to Joss Whedon about that, but don't tell the other Marvel ones.
Producers haven't yelled at me yet about it, so yeah. So with hopes of someday working on a Batman movie, because Batman's my favorite superhero, even though I work on Marvel films. Anyway, so my geekiest hobby is a Lego set with a glass of whiskey on a Friday night. That is my bliss right now. So
I will say I went into the Lego store, and they have like the old school Lego Batcave.
Yeah.
It's something like 7,000 pieces.
Oh.
It's insane, but I want it, and I want to put it together.
Was the Lego Death Star in Homecoming your idea?
No, but I knew the PA that built it, and I heard the story about how when he cried when he saw it crash to the floor.
Oh, I believe it. That thing is a huge project. And like I even looked at, like I was looking closely at it because I have a friend from college that put the Lego Death Star together, and it took him like weeks because there's so many intricate little parts, and like there was no piece.
That so fast.
There was no piece left unplaced in that Death Star, and like everything was staged. Like even the little figurines were staged. Oh my gosh, I feel terrible for that guy.
There's no way that scene was shot more than once. Like Ned didn't have to go and take that twice.
But I do think that they may have assembled more than one Death Star though.
Oh really?
Actually.
Oh okay. Well, yeah.
That hurts my soul.
There are enough, unfortunately, and I just have to do a shout out for all production assistants. They do the Lord's work. They do the most, and they get paid and the least respected. So they have to do stuff like that. So shout out to those guys.
Yeah.
They do all the grunt work and they don't get much recognition.
Respect for
but
sure.
yeah, so there are no shortage of PAs. So I'm sure they had a couple guys just building Death Stars.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
So Legos is like your geekiest thing right now.
Yep,
we talked
sure.
before the show about what your favorite and we might call it on this one. But we talked before the show about what like your favorite game, what your favorite board game, tabletop game, video game, whatever is. And you said it's Cards Against Humanity. You love playing Cards Against Humanity. Good party game.
Good.
Great party game.
Great party game.
Yep. You really found out what people really are like.
Well, and they have the Disney expansion coming out soon.
Really? I did not know this.
Yeah.
Oh
they released like a handful of I think it was 12 of the black cards and 12 of the white cards. And it's going to be a good time. Jeez. Anyways, so you said that Cards Against Humanity was your favorite tabletop game or board game.
Yep.
And I gave you some prep time. You've had 40 minutes of prep time. So if you could pick 5 characters from any of the movies that you've worked on to play Cards Against Humanity with, who would it be?
Oh man. So let's see. First, I think I'd just pick Hulk because it'd be funny to see his reaction to some of the profane things that come up in that game.
Or just to see him holding tiny little cards in his giant green.
That is true. That would be more
rage
fun.
monster hands.
Yep. Thor would be fun because I think he'd get really pissed off really easily. He'd just put his hammer down on all the cards, and no one would be able to pick up the cards because only he is worthy. Blah blah blah. So I think he'd be funny just to see how pissed he'd get. Let's think. Man, there's so many characters. I bring Hawkeye just because I don't like Hawkeye. He is my least favorite character, and I just try to make fun of him as much as I can. So I bring him along just so that I can make fun of him as much as I can.
He'd be the butt of the joke the whole time.
He'd be the butt of every joke.
See, that's 3.
Anybody from Beauty and the Beast?
Nope.
I was hoping you'd have at least one Ninja Turtle.
Oh, I'll say Bebop from Ninja Turtles. He's a cool guy. He's a fun guy. I think he just keep it classy and cool. He just I think he's cool. He'll be number 4. And let's see, number 5. This is hard. Oh, duh. Ultron from Age of Ultron. He kind of sounds like James Spader, and I think James Spader would be a cool guy to hang out with. So I think As long as he didn't kill me, I think Ultron would be fun to bring in.
He just sort of growled at you the whole time.
You just snuck your way into adding James Spader to that game. Man, that's really interesting. I always try and like play along as I go with that question.
Yeah.
Even though it's not my question to answer, and like not even Michelangelo, like not even Mikey the Ninja Turtle, or like Brett Spiner from Independence Day.
No.
His character. Oh man, I would love to see his character play Cards Against Humanity. For me, it would be more people watching than it would be having a good time.
Right.
But I would have a good time by people watching.
Yeah.
And that's how that would go.
Who's the guy in Independence Day? Who's the original David? What's his real name? Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he'd be pretty awesome.
He'd be great.
He would have a stone cold face. He would know what he's thinking. And,
Vulture.
And then he'd
guy.
set down a card and just and that's it.
Yeah. In his cool guy black jacket
with his thick rimmed glasses and just look at you like just waiting on you, champ.
Oh man.
David Levinson was his name.
Yes. Yep.
Michael and my wife and I just watched Independence Day because Independence Day happened recently.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a thing that we do as Americans.
Eat hot dogs and watch Independence Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year I did that. I made Jack and Cokes and watched Independence Day. It was fun. So I try to do that every once in a while.
Perfect. Well, Kyle, do you have anything else for Pat?
What? I guess this is a great sort of ending question. What's kind of next for you? I mean, you've just had a promotion in this role. Not as far as like projects, but like, where do you want to take this? Do you want to run your own shop? Like, what's your next thing?
No, and no. I would never want to run my shop because this industry is crazy. So I just don't have I admire my founders for being willing to actually take the step and actually do it. But I don't have any visions for that. I kind of just want to do my thing and come home and hang out with my family. So, I would love to stay at the third floor as long as I can. If it's where I'm at my whole career, that would be amazing. I just got promoted as a department head, so that's like the next thing I'm going to focus on soon. So I'm a department head of asset creation, so all the stuff we build for our Previs, I'm going to kind of try to lead us in the next generation of asset building, kind of modeling, texturing, all the things we use. So,
that's awesome.
So that'll be my next step, is kind of attacking that and trying to build our pipeline workflow and make the best artists possible for all that. So
sure.
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome. Well, dude, it's been incredible having you on. I think this has just been a fascinating conversation.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Listening to somebody who like daily grinds in this field
for the movies that we talk about relentlessly on this podcast.
Literally every Tuesday when we record, we talk about your movies. So it's been a fascinating interview. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, man, it's been a pleasure. It's fun to talk about this stuff. So,
yeah, it's been really great. Well, we'll have some links out for Third Floor Studio, so you can, or you guys aren't studio, the Third Floor. So all of our listeners can like get a look around on the website. But thank you, Pat. Just reiterating, Kyle, it's been great having you on the show. But we're gonna kick this thing out now. For those of you guys that are out there listening that want to help sponsor the show, Patreon, Satchel, Amazon, you know how that works. Check out our website, betweenthecons.com. You can stream our episodes online, link out to social media. We'll have those links out to the Third Floor on our website, and all of our social media posts on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And finally, tune in on Thursday, because we're going to be back. We're going to be hitting the headlines. We're going to be talking about probably some movies that Pat's going to be working on.
Yep.
So
even though he won't tell us about them, we'll make our own guesses.
We will spend the next the next year and a half that he's working on a movie, guessing as to whether or not he's working on it. So come hang out, play, listen along with us Thursday in Pineapple. Thanks again, Pat, for coming. Kyle, you're here all the time. But anyways, thanks everybody for listening. You guys have a great week.
Take it easy.
Thanks, guys. When people make me play Settlers of Catan, I sigh quite deeply.